All right, on page 187 in activity 15, just above that, we see a language focus box on how to use sentences with before, after, when, and as soon as. Let's say these adverbial phrases. Let's say before, after, when, as soon as. All right, so we can use these words or phrases in a time clause. You know, a clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. We can use these time phrases before the subject to tell when something will happen. Now, last chapter, we already studied how to use before and after. Do you remember when we were talking about the potato boat recipe? All right, well, let's take a look at some sentences in the chart. Look at the following sentences. You'll see that each sentence has two actions. The numbers above each sentence show the order of the actions. Now, the word order can change, but the meaning does not change. So we need to pay attention to the meaning and understand which happens first and which happens second. And that in writing, we have to pay attention to the punctuation. So in sentence A, we have this. Rita finishes dinner before she eats dessert. In this sentence, the first clause is Rita finishes dinner. The second clause is before she eats dessert. Which action happens first? Can you tell me? Finishes dinner happens first. And which action happens second? She eats dessert. Okay, please notice where we use the word before. Maybe in your language, it's the same. But maybe in your language, it's in a different place. So please note that we put the word before she eats dessert. We put it right there in the middle. Now, can we do it with the word after? Okay, let's make a sentence with after. So sentence B. Rita eats dessert after she finishes dinner. Does she still eat dessert? Yes, but that is the second action. What's the first action? Eats dinner. Rita eats dessert after she finishes dinner. Now, here's another one. This one uses when. Rita eats dessert when she finishes dinner. We also can say Rita eats dessert as soon as she finishes dinner. Now, what's the difference? If you use when, that means at that moment. First you finish your dinner, and then immediately after that you eat dessert. The same thing for as soon as. That tells immediately, right away. You don't wait for a while. If you say Rita eats dessert after she finishes dinner, maybe it could be 10 minutes later. It could be an hour later. It could be 5 hours later. Well, not that far. Maybe an hour and a half later. That would be after. After is very general, and it doesn't have to be right away. If you use when or as soon as, it sounds like it happens right away. Now let's look at another way to say these sentences with different clause order. You'll remember in sentence A, we said Rita finishes dinner before she eats dessert. We can take the two clauses and put them in a different order and say it this way. Before Rita eats dessert, she finishes dinner. Still, finishing dinner is the first thing. Still, eating dessert is the second thing. We just rearranged the order of the clauses. But we keep the name Rita in the first clause, and we use the pronoun she in the second clause. That's sentence D. Now let's look at sentence B. Rita eats dessert after she finishes dinner. We can rearrange those clauses for sentence E. After Rita finishes dinner, she eats dessert. Those two have the same meaning. Let's look at number C. At letter C, we have Rita eats dessert when she finishes dinner, or Rita eats dessert as soon as she finishes dinner. We can change it to when Rita finishes dinner, or as soon as Rita finishes dinner, she eats dessert without waiting for anything else. Those two, C and F, have the same meaning, just the clauses are reversed. Okay, so once again, we can show you that the sentences on the left side are equal in meaning to the sentences on the right side. When we look at activity 15 and we try to identify the order of the actions in the sentences with after and before, we need to figure out which thing happened first and which thing happened second. So in number 1, we have, after you eat some more vegetables, you can have more pasta. Okay, what's the first action? You eat some more vegetables. And what's the second? You can have more pasta. Okay, number 2. We'll go outside when the activity room is all clean. What's the first action? The activity room is all clean. We have to clean it up first. And then the second one is, we'll go outside. Good. Number 3, before you go outside, put on your jacket. What's the first action? Put on your jacket. And the second action? We'll go outside, or you'll go outside. Okay, number 4, you can go home as soon as your father comes to pick you up. What's the first thing? Your father has to come and pick you up first. And then the second thing is, you can go home. You're too little to go home by yourself. You have to wait for Daddy. Number 5, we can begin the story when everyone is quiet. First, everyone needs to be quiet. So lots of times we say this when the children are not being quiet now. They're talking and talking and talking, and the teacher is going to wait until the children stop talking when they're quiet. Okay, so when everyone is quiet, then the second thing is we can begin the story. Good. Number 6 says, as soon as school is out, Carlos goes to after-school care. So what happens first? School gets out, right. The end of school comes. Ring! The dismissal bell rings. And then the second thing, Carlos goes to after-school care. Number 7, we'll go to the library after we stop at the grocery store. What happens first? First, we have to stop at the grocery store. And second, we'll go to the library after that. Okay. Number 8, before Rita goes out to play, she finishes her homework. What's the first action? She finishes her homework. And the second action? She goes out to play. Good. All right, good. That's good. Now you understand which happens first and which happens second. Please look at the punctuation now. Same sentences. Please notice in number 1, when the time clause comes at the beginning, then we put a comma after the time clause. Notice, after you eat some more vegetables, comma. You can have more pasta. Period. Now, when the time clause comes second, that means the main clause comes first. We don't need to put a comma after the main clause. Don't put a comma there. So notice number 2. We'll go outside when the activity room is all clean. Period. This sentence has no comma. Number 3. The time clause comes first. So we say, before you go outside, comma, put on your jacket. Period. And number 4, the main clause comes first, so no comma. You can go home as soon as your father comes to pick you up. Period. Number 5. Which clause comes first, the main clause or the time clause? The main clause. Do we need a comma or not? No, we don't need a comma. We can begin the story when everyone is quiet. Period. How about in number 6? Which comes first, the time clause or the main clause? The time clause. As soon as school is out, comma, Carlos goes to after-school care. Period. Number 7. Which one comes first in number 7? The main clause. No comma. We'll go to the library after we stop at the grocery store. Period. How about number 8? What comes first? The time clause or the main clause? The time clause. So we need a comma here. Before Rita goes out to play, comma, she finishes her homework. Period. Okay? Any questions? Is that clear? All right, let's practice pronouncing the sentences with good pronunciation, syllables, stress, and rhythm. After you eat some more vegetables, you can have more pasta. After you eat some more vegetables, you can have more pasta. 2. We'll go outside when the activity room is all clean. We'll go outside when the activity room is all clean. Number 3. Before you go outside, put on your jacket. Before you go outside, put on your jacket. Number 4. You can go home as soon as your father comes to pick you up. You can go home as soon as your father comes to pick you up. 5. We can begin the story when everyone is quiet. We can begin the story when everyone is quiet. Number 6. As soon as school is out, Carlos goes to after-school care. Do you know what it means when we say school is out? You know what it means when school is out? What does that mean, to be out? Right, that's finished. Right. The teacher's not teaching anymore, and it's time for everyone to go home or to leave the classroom. As soon as school is out, Carlos goes to after-school care. Number 7, we'll go to the library after we stop at the grocery store. When we say to stop at the grocery store, of course that means to go inside and look for some groceries and buy some things to take home. All right, so when we say stop at the grocery store, we mean we're going to go there to buy a few things. hopefully we won't stay there for a really long time. It's not like visiting a friend. So when we stop, it means we will go there and we'll stop the car and get out, or where we're walking, we'll stop walking and we'll go into the store and buy a few things. We'll go to the library after we stop at the grocery store. Number 8. Before Rita goes out to play, she finishes her homework. Homework. Before Rita goes out to play, she finishes her homework. Okay, when you turn the page, you'll see the language focus on this side, and actually I explained a lot of this already, but take a look at it because you can refer back to page 188 and look at how we write complex sentences. So another thing to look at is the grammar and the verb tense, the verb form. If we're talking about future, we have to pay attention to the verb form because we don't use future in both clauses. We use the present tense in the time clause, and we use a future, or we can use can, or we can use must, or we can use have to in the main clause. Now take a look at the sentence in the first part. It says the time clause and then a comma and then a main clause plus a period. After you finish your homework, comma, you can go to your friend's house, period. Now notice that you put the main clause first, then there's no comma in the middle, just a period at the end of the time clause. You can go to your friend's house after you finish your homework. So that's what I explained for the sentences on the previous page. That's the same thing.